Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we are tackling a massive challenge that honestly, pretty much every professional faces right now, and that's information overload. We are constantly swimming in this endless sea of text-heavy reports, never-ending email threads, and these incredibly complex data sets that can frankly feel pretty intimidating. But there is actually a way to cut through all of that noise. Today, we're exploring the absolute art and strategy of transforming raw, uninviting data into compelling visual stories. And we're doing it through the power of infographic design.
So, I want to start by framing exactly why this matters so much. And it all comes down to one very specific, very large number, 60,000. Humans are just inherently visual creatures. Our brains literally process images 60,000 times faster than text. Think about that advantage for a second. When you're trying to communicate a really complex message or boost engagement, you just can't afford to rely on text alone anymore. You have to capture attention immediately. And the visual medium? Well, it's the undisputed champion of doing exactly that.
Okay, let's dive into this blueprint for today. We'll be looking at 1. The visual advantage, 2. The keyword strategy, 3. Anatomy of an infographic, 4. DIY versus professional design, and 5. Web optimization and the future. Section 1. The visual advantage and beating information overload.
We know attention spans are premium currency today. We've all completely glazed over when somebody hands us a 40-page PDF, right? To beat that overload, we need the infographic. But let's be really clear about what an infographic actually is. It's not just a data dump with some pretty colors thrown in. Actually, it's more like the ultimate translator. It serves as this vital bridge between raw, intimidating data and meaningful human understanding. When it's done right, an infographic creates a real narrative journey. It takes aesthetic appeal and pairs it with structured logic. So you aren't just presenting facts, you are guiding your viewer through a genuinely compelling story arc.
Section 2, the keyword strategy, mastering the search.
Now, you might not instantly pair visual design with keywords, but mastering the search is actually the foundational secret weapon for any high-performing infographic. And this brilliantly illustrates a comprehensive 360-degree approach that serves two completely different goals. On one side, we've got designers using keywords for asset sourcing, literally building the graphic. And on the other side, marketers are using those exact same terms as SEO anchors, ensuring the graphic actually gets seen by the right people.
Let's look at the designer's side first. When designers are hunting for the perfect components to build out a project, they use very specific keywords like infographic diagram chart, infographic element, or flowchart shapes. And why do they do this? Because searching these specific terms helps them completely bypass those generic, low-quality stock photos. It unlocks high-quality, scalable vector building blocks that set up a clear, logical hierarchy right from the very first draft.
But meanwhile, marketers are utilizing keywords from a totally different angle. They're focusing on trendy search terms like data visualization design or pastel graph infographic. And these aren't just nice descriptive words, they're powerful SEO anchors. By targeting these terms, marketers ensure their content ranks highly in search results, exactly when potential clients are out there, actively searching for clean, modern solutions to their communication problems.
Section 3. Anatomy of an infographic. Deconstructing success.
So what actually separates a totally confusing, cluttered data dump from a truly compelling visual asset? Well, to make this super easy to retain, we're going to use the rule of 3 to reduce cognitive load. A successful infographic really just boils down to 3 physical building blocks. Step 1 is the structure, or the blueprint. Step 2 is high-quality vector assets. And Step 3 is color and typography. Let's look at how this all logically builds together.
Step 1 is where it all begins. Before you drop a single icon onto your canvas, you absolutely must wireframe your infographic. You need to organize your labels and clearly define the flow. Are you doing a comparison between 2 products? Maybe a chronological timeline? Or a step-by-step process? You have to lay this foundation first, so you can guide the viewer's eye naturally from the big headline all the way down to the conclusion.
Once that structure is locked in tight, you move to Step 2. So the crucial point here is this. Nothing kills your corporate credibility faster than pixelated images. Using professional vector assets is an absolute non-negotiable. Vector files allow for infinite scaling, which means your visual story is going to look just as crisp and sharp on a tiny smartphone screen as it does on a massive high-def presentation slide. It's what gives your design that cohesive, polished pro feel. And finally, Step 3 brings us to the visual polish, color and typography.
The modern trend in data visualization is heavily shifting toward minimalism right now. These pastel graph infographic layouts are incredibly popular, and for good reason. They significantly reduce visual noise. Instead of aggressive, high-contrast primary colors screaming for your attention, soft pastels allow the actual data points to be the star of the show. When you pair that with super clean typography, the entire design just instantly feels more trustworthy and sophisticated.
Section 4. DIY versus professional design. When to hire an expert.
Now, what's really interesting about this is figuring out the execution strategy based on where your company is at. DIY custom infographic makers are honestly fantastic for internal reporting or just whipping up a quick, budget-friendly social media post using pre-made templates. But there is a definite inflection point. When you're presenting to key stakeholders, launching a massive national campaign, or trying to explain complex proprietary tech, templates just aren't going to cut it anymore. That's exactly when professional graphic design services become necessary for bespoke, highly customized communication.
As a general rule of thumb, a professional designer brings way more than just technical skill to the table. They bring strategic insight and precise brand alignment. A true pro doesn't just make things look pretty, right? They distill your complex, unique market position into something completely digestible, and they weave your specific brand voice perfectly into the asset, rather than just forcing your brand to fit into some recycled, pre-made shape.
Section 5. Web optimization and the future, getting seen online.
All right, here is the harsh truth. Even the most beautifully designed infographic is completely useless if literally no one ever discovers it. If you're using these graphics to generate organic traffic, you've got to think like an SEO specialist. Let me rapid fire a few tactical optimization tips for you. First, alt text is key. Always use your keywords to describe the data points in your image tags. Second, surround with context. Google can't actually see an image perfectly, so you need to provide a substantial text summary around the graphic itself. And third, embeddability. Always provide an embed code so other publishers can easily feature your work on their own sites. That creates an automatic backlink to your website, which acts as a massive engine for your domain authority.
Now, looking ahead, obviously we can't ignore the massive impact of AI-generated content. But I want to reassure you here. In this rapidly evolving landscape, the human ability to create true clarity and connection is an irreplaceable craft. AI can absolutely help you draft a basic chart or a layout, sure, but the human touch is what actually weaves the narrative together. Humans are the ones who humanize the data and align it perfectly with a really specific, nuanced brand strategy.
Which brings us to the final takeaway. The ultimate goal of all of this, the visual advantage, the keywords, the structure, the SEO, it's all about clarity. Please don't let your valuable data die a quiet death in some boring, unread spreadsheet. The visual storytelling tools are ready and waiting for you to use them. So my final question for you to consider is this. What complex information are you sitting on right now, and what is your vision for turning it into a story that your audience will absolutely never forget?